Yes, we are live on location. Tom Sampson, Chief of the Calgary Emergency Management Agency. And just before we went on the air, Tom's looking around this area. And Tom, take me back 5 years ago. Am I underwater right now if this was 5 years ago?
You're probably right on the edge of it. But,
Yeah.
you know, the interesting thing is the old settlers put Fort Calgary where it is, and Fort Calgary did not flood. So they obviously knew what they were doing then. They didn't have all those hydrologic studies, but they knew where they were going.
This is the highest point in this confluence, so that makes sense. 5 years ago, a lot of people are saying that was so long ago. Other people are saying, no, it's still very clear in my memory. I like to ask all my guests, though, some of the memories you have from 2013.
Well, I don't think you can, if there was something that stands out, it's the Herculean effort made by Calgarians to help each other when there was a problem. I mean, they all, you know, most of them evacuated when we asked them to. There was a few who didn't, and I think we did about 450 water rescues. But, you know, the vast majority did what we asked, and then they came back out to help their neighbors, and that was the piece I remember so well.
Yeah, and I remember walking through my old community. Sadly, my former house was flooded, but to walk through my community and see everyone helping, emptying out basements, you know, I just remember that thinking, wow, all right, that's 5 years ago. What has happened in the 5 years since then, especially when it comes to how we prepare ourselves for something that could happen again in the future?
Well, flood is our number one risk, and it remains our number one risk in Calgary. And so we've spent a lot of time. We had a lot of lessons we needed to learn. We didn't communicate as well to business as we could have done. And so we structured a deal with the Calgary Chamber of Commerce, and they've put out, I call it a non-denominational, but if you're a business, you can register with the Calgary Chamber. You don't need to pay any money or anything else. And we bring the Calgary Chamber right into our Emergency Operations Center. We communicate to them, and they communicate to business. We do the same. We've got the apps now, the Alberta Emergency Alert app. We can communicate better with the public, but we can also communicate through that Alert Ready program, the national program, where we can hit your cell phone. So we can inform the public a little bit better, and hopefully we'd get better when we ask for you to evacuate. Hopefully we'd get better results when we evacuate. We've obviously done exercise after exercise on this, and this year, the government gave us, the Alberta government gave us an extra $1 million and another $1 million behind it if we need it, to take a bit of a more forward-leaning stance. So we put on standby 130 high-volume pumps, and they're ready for areas like Hillhurst, Sunnyside, in case we seal that area all up and then we get water from behind us. The water resources people will be in there to pump that all out and get rid of that water, get it out into the river again. But we've also bought more dam material, so that we can block off areas better. So we've just been spending, every year, we've been spending a lot of money trying to get Calgary ready for the next time, but it's not good enough. And that's the thing, I think, that it feels frustrating to have done all that effort. And I think the mayor said this morning we spent over $150 million in getting ready. But until we get upstream mitigation, we're done. And, you can do everything you want on the elbow, for example, and everything we do, including raise the dam up, which will be done in a couple of years, will only mitigate 20% of the problem there. So we've got to have the upstream mitigation.
And so even without that upstream mitigation, then, you're saying if we were hit with another flood like that, yes, you've got better communication, yes, you've got better dam equipment, but you may not be able to protect the neighborhoods that you want to protect?
No, that's true. And certainly the elbow is in tougher shape than is the bow. I mean, there's 11 dams between here and Lake Minnewanka, 9 of which are controllable. And, our government's gone and negotiated with TransAlta agreement to lower all those levels as much as we can. So we can absorb quite a hit,
right,
but we still can't absorb the kind of rainfall that we had. And if we had that rainfall again this year, all those people who are flooded, they may be evacuated, and some of them may be flooded again. And so that's the thing. That's the thing why we need that upstream mitigation. I sound like a broken record, but...
Or a politician. But that's the frustrating part, isn't it? Because you know that you've learned so much, but there's one key ingredient here to make sure that we can protect Calgary in the future.
Right. And we'll be better at protecting the critical infrastructure. And so it's more likely. Our friends at NMAX have worked so hard to make sure they can keep the power on in areas so people's sump pumps will work. But all our partners have worked and done different things, which will make it better. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you're still going to have to evacuate people. You're still going to move them out of their homes, and businesses are going to be impacted if we get the same kind of rainfall.
Wow.
And I can tell you, it doesn't make you sleep well at night when that happens.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I guess the last 5 years, every June, because we know that's the heaviest precipitation we can see in the city. I think in the last couple of years, what has the precipitation been like? Because it's no one's gotten too nervous, it seems.
Oh, I'm always.
Well, you're always nervous, yeah.
Yeah. Well, not nervous, but until you've ever been flooded yourself, and I have been, you don't know what that feels like, and so I'm always nervous. This week, right now, is that when we get 70% of our high flows, and so it's this actual week that gives. And so I watch this rain forecast, and no, they're saying it's going to go away, it's going to be good.
Right.
But that's what they said last time. So yeah.
Well, and rain's just one part of it, right?
We're
watching what's happening with the snowpack melt and everything else.
Yep.
Tom, if nothing else, can we say that we had to go through that disaster to improve things? Because just the things that you're pointing out at the beginning, I'm saying, wow, obviously we needed to have this lesson so we're better in the future.
Well, you know what they say is no disaster should get wasted, right? And so I don't wish that upon anybody. I don't wish it upon my worst enemy, but we did have to go through it because it kind of made us pull up our socks a bit, and we still have some work to go, and we can make it better.
Tom, thanks so much for your time.
No, thank you.
Tom Sampson, Chief of the Calgary Emergency Management Agency. It is 5:17.